And at the end, this collection is going to be given to Deb. She's going to put it in a basket and take it to Deb, and she'll take it to the organizations that's putting it on. Because what they have to do, the money is they have to pay rent for the place. That's what the collection's for. Anyway, so we can all go see it. So, if there's a blockage on your path, back up to see more of the way. That little gem is from Mark Nepo, who has thousands of those little gems in his book. But I really was struck by that and wanted to talk about it. If there's a block on your path, you can get a greater perspective instead of just, how we get, I can't go any further, step back and get that bigger perspective. Well, and I thought, well, that's a great metaphor. We all understand the metaphor. But how about some specific ways to back up? And so I made you my own personal list, which I'm going to share. And you can make your own personal list too. But the first thing on my list is laugh, or what I like to call use the funny. Now, Cindy started us off on that path, and as it happens, I have a couple of stories. So there was an atheist and a religious man. They were neighbors. The religious man prayed, went to church 3 times a week, told God everything, and asked for help. The atheist didn't. Well, this religious man was noticing these things, and one day the religious man is just like, God, what is the deal? I have a job I hate. I don't make much money. My wife is kind of a nag, and my kids don't love me. And this neighbor, who's an atheist, doesn't go to church. He has a beautiful wife, 3 lovely children, and he's stinking rich. What is going on? I pray to you all the time. I bring you all my concerns. And a big booming voice said, he leaves me alone. So, how do we use this funny? Well, it's funny because we're all a little afraid it might be true, aren't we? There's a little part of us like that. And here's a way to take it deeper. Do you, and by you I mean me, ever make God into your own small image? Do you ever think God is just a guy like you or me and doesn't want to be bothered, or whatever it is? Is there still a little tiny part of you that think that God is the small version of God and not the love of all the universe? So think about that. We can use that funny. And here's another funny for you. There was a lady walking on a bridge. I think it was a big bridge in New York. And she saw a man who was about to jump off. And she was really concerned and went to the man and said, listen. She thought, I know, I'm going to engage him. I'm going to try to talk about the afterlife. So, sir, do you believe in the afterlife? Talk to me. Well, yeah, I believe in the afterlife. And the lady said, good, so do I. Are you religious or are you an atheist? Well, said the man, I'm religious. Good, so am I, said the lady. Are you a Christian or are you Jewish? Well, I guess I'm a Christian. Oh, yeah, so am I. Are you Catholic or Protestant? Well, I'm a Protestant. Oh, great, so am I. So are you a traditional Protestant or are you a New Thought denomination? Well, I'm a New Thought denomination. Oh, good, so am I. Are you religious science, divine science, or unity? Well, I guess I'm unity. Wow, so am I. Well, are you unity from the Charles Fillmore tradition, or are unity's a big umbrella? Well, I'm Unity's a big umbrella. She gives him a push. Die, heretic scum. I know, that's kind of ouchy, isn't it? It's funnier when it's about Baptists. So what's the ouchy funny in that one? Well, how often do we make our circle smaller? I mean, it's fun to find connections with people. We love that. We love to find connections. But how often do we make our circle narrow, especially in the name of religion, instead of widening the circle to include everybody? You know, I guarantee you that once a month, if not every week, I am going to say something that bothers you. Something is going to happen here that you don't like. And or somebody is going to say something that isn't that doesn't match your beliefs. So we want to learn from this. This is one way to back up and see more of the way. So the next way that I like to back up is to widen my view. And I have a very specific theme for the day. I'm really, really aware of the trouble with the Jewish and the Palestinians. I'm really aware of that. That is just weighing on my heart, and I want to do everything I can to lighten that and pray for that. And so when I find ways to widen the view and bring that in, I want to bring that to you. So there was a beautiful affirmation in the Daily Word for July about world peace. It was, "One love shines within us all." One love shines within us all. We can embrace that. And here is a writing. I'm going to read you 3 paragraphs of what this man wrote because it's beautiful. Then we're going to talk about it. Daniel Barenboim is a pianist and a conductor and a UN messenger of peace. And I'm going to read you part of his article, which I found online. "I am writing these words as someone who holds 2 passports, Israeli and Palestinian. I am writing them with a heavy heart, as the events in Gaza over the past few weeks have confirmed my long-standing conviction that there is no military solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is not a political conflict, but a human one between 2 peoples who share the deep and seemingly irreconcilable conviction that they are entitled to the same small piece of land. I have deep sympathy for the fear with which my fellow Israelis live today, the constant sounds of rockets being fired, of knowing that you or someone close to you might get hurt. But I have profound compassion with the plight of my fellow Palestinians in Gaza, who live in terror and mourn such devastating losses on a daily basis." His article is much longer, but I just want to read one more paragraph, because at the very heart of the much-needed rapprochement is the need for a mutual feeling of empathy or compassion. Only through trying to understand the other side's plight can we take a step towards each other. As Schopenhauer put it, nothing will bring us back to the path of justice so readily as the mental picture of the trouble, grief, and lamentation of the loser. In this conflict, we are all losers. We can only overcome this sad state if we finally begin to accept the other side's suffering and their rights. Only from this understanding can we attempt to build a future together. That was from The Guardian. And it's so true. And how do we bring this into our life? Well, when was the last time that we were really upset with somebody because they did something that we didn't think they should in our work or an organization or a church or a family? You know, they didn't share our belief. They didn't do what we wanted them to do. it's up to us to widen our view, to step back and walk in the other person's shoes and do our best to practice empathy and compassion. It is critical. So when the path is blocked, back up and see more of the way. So we've learned to laugh, to widen your view, and the third thing I want to talk about is drop some baggage. This is from Luke 18, verse 25. Indeed, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. Now, my metaphysical interpretation of this right now is, and there are many other metaphysical ways, but right now is that a rich person is one with many desires and many personal concerns. I'm not talking about rich in and abundant. I'm talking about it is difficult for somebody with a lot of baggage and a lot of personal concerns and a lot of ideas really exactly the way you think it should be and the way I think you should be and you should be and the way I think they should be and the way I think everything should unfold. That's a lot of personal concerns, and that weighs a lot. And it's hard to get into kingdom consciousness, which is Christ consciousness or enlightenment or Buddha consciousness. Any of those things? Me first and only is what the voice of the ego says. I know it's what my ego says. I know it's what your ego says. And this is what the voice of Spirit says. We can all get what we need together. When I first started on the spiritual path, one of the first phrases I learned was, well, let's keep talking or keep praying for the highest good for all concerned. Isn't that a lovely phrase? The highest good for all concerned. That means everybody's going to get what they need, all of us. And you know, we want to listen to our ego and pat our ego on the head or the back and say, it's okay, you're going to get what you need too. It's okay. But everybody's going to get what they need. And seriously, we're all going to be much happier in our heart of hearts when everybody around us is getting what they need too. So here's some so far ways to back up. Laugh, widen your view, drop some baggage, and number 4, travel together. To brighten your life, you must widen your heart. To brighten your life, widen your heart. This is a saying from Sri Chinmoy, and I just learned this week about Sri Chinmoy, who is a spiritual teacher. He's already passed on to the other realm. He dedicated his life to bringing some Eastern teachings to the West. And one of the things I got excited about was that he has a peace run, which is, I just really discovered it, so I haven't actually figured out how we're going to do it here, what we're going to do, or how I'm going to do it. But it's a peace run where people run, and it's not to make money, it's just to bring people together in the name of peace. And I believe it's more like it's not like a race, it's more like a relay from place to place to place to place all over the world with the torch of peace and in many different countries. So I really love that. And I love that traveling together. And I thought that the picture, the thought of people on a relay from country to country with the torch of peace was a very beautiful, inspiring picture for me. And I know it's inspiring for you. And it is us, you know. And one of the things I wanted to say for us in our lives is, how can you pass on a torch or pick up a torch from someone in this very room? Maybe just by a word, a few minutes, a sharing of a concern, or maybe you just go home and you pray for all of us. But that is a way to pass on the torch and to keep the torch of peace and to know that we're traveling together, right? We're traveling together. That's another way that we get the wider perspective, that we back up when there's a block. Last way. So laugh, widen your view, drop some baggage, travel together. The good old standard, pray and meditate. Anytime we need a greater perspective, we can go inside and we can stop any instant and go within. You can take a 3-second prayer, just like this. See? You can do that. We can all do that. Now, as an ending thought, I want to just read this letter, part of a letter that President Nelson Mandela sent to Sri Chinmoy. I cannot express in words my joy. What you are doing is in the interest of the entire humanity and the world. And that is what I want to say to all of us, including me. I cannot express my words in enough joy that what we are doing together every day and right now is in the interest of all of humanity and the world. And so our path is important, and getting around the blocks is important. So that's why we're all here. I cannot express my joy. Let's take an offering for unity. So we're going to take our offering, and then after we collect the offering, we'll have some special music. So I